Dogman and K-pop Demon Hunters has taught me something real. Recently, I've been doing more of, healing in regards to my past. I'll try not to get too personal and get people worried. I've been doing okay myself. Now, I have been looking deeper into a lot of media I have watched as of lately, as that's something I have done, I have been doing, and it's something I will continue to do so. I understand that music is my main thing, but I have recently grown fond of reviewing movies, and it really only, for me, dates back to high school, which I will be doing today with 2 movies. Now, these 2 movies have taught me some things, or rather some real life shit. One of them is obviously more cartoony and playful. The other one is a bit more serious with some killer music, but we'll get into that. Now, the first one is, of course, Dogman. I will be going over pretty much the entire movie, but not exactly every single scene. But before I actually get into the movie, I will give y'all a little bit of history with this. Now, Dogman, the character, just dates back only to 2016 by the one and only Dave Pilkey, who is also famous for the graphic novel Captain Underpants. That also got a movie adaptation in 2017 that I also watched, but I will also say that I didn't grow attached to that as much as I did with Dogman. Now, of course, this movie's development dated really only back to 2020, but DreamWorks were facing some challenges, of course. One obvious one was translating 2D art over into 3D. Now, I've seen a lot of positive things about this movie while seeing some criticisms here and there. And I see that the movie itself has made $145.6 million in the box office worldwide as of right now. So yeah, with that, a little bit of history out of the way, let's get into the actual movie. Now, the movie actually takes place in OK City, as Officer Knight and Greg the Dog, the characters we're introduced to, alongside with the world's most evilest cat, aka Pete Davidson. And I gotta say that this is Pete Davidson's calling after the goddamn deluge that was Marmaduke. Pete Davidson just fits so well playing as Petey the Cat here. And I will say, Petey the Cat in this movie being the antagonist for the most part of this movie is gonna be like one of the major reasons why this movie taught me something. Now, of course, before I keep going, I would like to mention that since this is a movie adaptation, this really soaks itself in the comic book style, really truly based on the graphic novels down to its goddamn grammar. They say words like super, over, loser. Like, I absolutely love how unique it is, especially like when they have it like in big bold letters throughout the movie. Now, after Petey got away from them, leaving them with the bomb, Officer Knight's mistakes Greg's growling for the word green and pretty much gets them both tossed and injured, leading them to the hospital. This is where the nurses get the idea sawing the dog's head onto the man's body, which would create Dogman. Now, after this, Dogman would become the talk of the town, making friends, playing piano, and barking at the mailman ever so often. Now, of course, Chief, who's also another good character in this movie, gets a little jealous about it and orders Millie to find Dogman after pretty much telling how much he actually loves Sarah Hadoff. Now, Dogman returns to his owner's home. But wait, I forgot. Officer Knight had a girlfriend named Alice. I gotta say, already, we're not even that far into the movie, and this is like one of the saddest scenes. When Dogman walks in, it's completely white. Lifeless, soulless, everything is gone. Now, of course, this leads to Dogman, of course, being sad and starts reminiscing of olden times, of his past life. Now that, of course, he has to now move on from his past life. Then he will, of course, get fucking jump scared by the realtor who is actually selling the place. Also tell Dogman that Alice has already moved on, now has a new boyfriend with a new dog. Oh, joy! And then Dogman sees the ball and wants to play, and the realtor pretty much throws it outside just to pretty much lock him out. This movie's already had a sad turning point. I mean, this is one of the many, many moments off this movie where they really take an emotional turn. And that ball actually says the word Greg on it, which is something that Officer Knight had given him before he's pretty much gone, but the movie pretty much lost over that. Now, I would say that scene when Dogman kind of walked into our house and realizing that Alice really didn't want to see Dogman kind of made me think about the times that people in my personal life would either move on or would no longer be around because of my identity or certain parts of my identity. Granted, it's not a lot, but it's definitely happened in my life, and I resonated pretty damn deeply with that scene. Then Millie, of course, picks up Dogman, and I gotta say, she is one-dimensional, but not in a mean-spirited way. She is still quite funny when she's on screen, but I am glad her screen time is limited. Then we go over to Petey's lab, and Dogman's mere existence angers him, makes him so mad that he really wants to take him down, and of course, take over the world. Of course, Dogman being, Dogman gives me the idea of creating a gigantic, expensive vacuum cleaner. And I also love how throughout parts in the movie, his ex-assistant keeps egging him on about her paycheck not being paid in actual money. At the police station, Chief is pretty much going on and on about how he's having to deal with a lot of shit coming from the mayor and expresses how tiring his job is. This, of course, makes Dogman feel genuinely bad for him and shows him some genuine affection. That, of course, all ends with Dogman licking his face and Chief demanding him to go arrest Petey, and even if it takes a fucking montage, which it actually does. And another thing I would say that's a highlight of this movie is how aware the humor and the writing is. Oh, and I forgot to mention, of course, the visuals. I mentioned it earlier, but I would say the visuals are pretty stunning, as well as the animation. Of course, the montage is pretty much Petey makes an invention, goes after Dogman. Dogman arrests Petey, takes him to cat jail, and then he somehow escapes cat jail, and then that's flipped on repeat. But it keeps going. It gets faster and faster as we keep going through this montage. Now, after the montage, Chief is impressed, but also not that impressed because, again, he's still kind of jealous of Dogman getting all the fame. He starts playing with Dogman for a little while with the paper ball until he's fed up and throws a ball at the mayor's face. And this is, of course, again, about Petey escaping from cat jail, which has now reached a boiling point for her and demands that Dogman is off the Petey case, which means he's no longer allowed to arrest Petey. And I also love how far they went with the whole life's not fair bit. Granted, it's a bit of a stretch, but I only say that because of the fact that you can actually call that number from the movie. It'll actually tell you that life's not fair. Now, since Dogman was left off the Petey case, this is another sad point in the movie. I would very well make the argument that Dogman doing his job, him being part dog, I mean, he has that like loyalty part of him. The fact that also that was like a kind of a way to cope with all the heavy stuff, given the fact that Alice did not want him, losing his house, losing his past life. It's like being a cop pretty much obviously gave him like a sense of purpose and joy. Like, this shit is like very fucking sad. After Petey gets back to his lab, sees that the place is a mess, gets startled by his ex-assistant telling him that she really only here to pick up his charger and annoy him. And she mentions that the only person who would even work for you is you, which gives Petey the idea of a clone of himself. This also leads to like one of my favorite scenes of the movie as Petey literally starts posing. Like, I guess you could say he pretty much took a hit from Madonna. Now, Dogman literally down in the fucking dumps, listening to Miley Cyrus, eating dog food. Then he gets a call from his chief about a new job. This obviously has him ecstatic and excited, and he's already there ASAP. And this new job the chief assigned him to do was to watch Flippy. Now, Flippy the fish is obviously from, of course, the graphic novels as this whole movie is based on. We'll get to know more about Flippy the fish later. Now, as Chief is talking about what the silencers will do to Flippy the fish, Dogman is of course rolling around on him because he likes running around on dead things. Luckily, later the scientists over at the science center rebuilt Flippy with titanium bones, with the possibility of him possibly coming back to life. And during like this whole news broadcast thing that is being televised in, of course, Petey is sitting and listening to how someone would even capture Flippy and use him for evil. Gives him a new plan, which is pretty obvious. It's to capture Flippy and reprogram him. Now, Chief and Dogman are set in the security room as Chief gives him the direct order to keep watch of the monster, regardless of if he hears his favorite toy, if he sees a tree, or if he even if he sees an eastern gray squirrel, which is always specific. So if he fails, he'll lose his job. And while all that was going on, Petey was already in the building, and by the time Dogman could even react, Petey has already left the building. And as he's already gone, Dogman presses the red button for dramatic effect. That's not really a typo. That is, it literally says press for the drama. After he runs out of the building, he runs into Sarah Haddow and Seamus, the Breaking Live News Live crew, to help catch Petey with their drone. Now, of course, while Dogman is chasing Petey, he easily gets distracted by a squirrel and then gets slingshotted. And then he will go to the police station to finally show Chief with the footage of the chase for what it's worth. Now, with Flippy captured, Petey is now reprogramming Flippy to destroy all do-gooders, all while he actually receives his cloning machine. After going through the instructions, he creates his clone that literally is the most adorable thing alive. Now, we're introduced to little Petey. Now, this is where the movie would start taking an emotional approach out the rest of the movie. And little Petey is going to be a vital role in that. Him being like the kid that he is, starts calling Petey Papa, and of course Petey does not want a kid. And of course this leads him to start crying. I wonder where you got that kind of idea from. And now little Petey is the personification of childhood innocence, seeing the good in people and always asking the question why, showing love regardless of how Petey treats him. I mean, Petey is kind of like has always been like hell bent on Dogman, that he kind of always just disregards little Petey. Over time, he would soon have a change of heart, little by little, slowly but surely. We then get a scene with Chief and Dogman going through his secret bunker that leads back into the same office, which is kind of funny. Now back at the lab, Petey is able to convince Lil Petey that they're gonna obviously play a game called the New Home Game, and I'm sure you obviously know what this is gonna entail. And this obviously leads to another thing that kind of hits and kind of runs deep. I'm of course talking about abandonment. And while I did watch this movie for the first time, I was sincerely wondering what made Petey turn out the way he did. Luckily, the comics really dive into this as well, but thankfully we'll learn more about that later. After Petey finds out that, oh, he's gone, I was like, oh, I can leave him. Oh, I don't have to deal with this kid anymore. He pretty much runs off, like pretty much actually not even runs off. He tiptoes off to his fucking flying bug ship is gone. And Lil Petey comes back, yells out Papa many times. God damn it, this movie is so sad. Then, of course, Lil Petey drags the box along with him throughout town. While Dogman is on duty, he notices him walking down the street. Then Lil Petey just goes on the street, sets himself in his little box. Luckily, Dogman saves him. Then Dogman brings Lil Petey back to his doghouse. So after abandoning this child, like the great person that he also is, now he finds a small book from Lil Petey that he made called Papa and Me. Now, this is a thing that Lil Petey will be known for in the movie. It's a much simpler form of the graphic novels, I would mention. After Petey reads the comic that Lil Petey made him, you see a little shimmer, like a little of warmth, until he fucking crumbles it up and tosses it. We then get a montage of Dogman and Petey spending time together while having the utmost fun, and this is literally the happiest Dogman has been since he pretty much lost the job. Now, while all this is going on, Petey is finishing up his invention called ADHD that would help him find Lil Petey, because of his ex-assistant showing him a picture of Lil Petey with Dogman. Again, being the good old person that he is, decides to change plans and get Lil Petey back. And the thing is, it's so sad to see Petey just give Lil Petey back just for the sake of not having him around Dogman anymore. It's like Petey is literally taking Dogman's only source of happiness at the moment. Now, on the way back to the lab, we of course start to see one of his best traits it's that seeing the positive in all situations, pretty much. What looks like to be a flower but is actually weeds, what is a river that has a bottle in it being a polluted river, and all the twinkly stars, and of course the mud. But I would also like to say that Petey is pretty much like the type of character that represents on what it's like if you actually cave into the world standards, and that you're not really happy, you're pretty much confined to all societal rules, basically. But we'll get to more on that later when he actually opens up. But when they do actually get back to the lab, Petey pretty much wants to kill Dogman. I mean, he literally makes a whole ass tank, bombs that are literally designed as squirrels. So yeah, like I said, he basically wants to kill Dogman. Now, in the middle of the night, while all this is happening, Dogman unfortunately finds out that Lil Petey is gone, starts looking for him, and obviously, of course, gets worried, as like I said, that this was literally his source of happiness since he pretty much lost his job. Petey would then show Lil Petey his room, and which is just sad as hell, because it's literally just a junk closet. Like, it's, oh god, he is treating him like utmost shit. Now, of course, during this point, this is actually where we actually get a bit of Petey's backstory, that his father actually did nothing for him when he was growing up, and he took all their stuff, got a truck, and left him and his mother. This is also explained in the books. In the books, we actually get to see what his mother actually looks like, and I gotta say, this is probably the first time Petey has really ever opened up to anybody about this. And as Petey is like pretty much processing this, he's like, wait, I have an idea. Let's go find your papa. Maybe he's changed. Now, in some regards, yeah, that's true. In a whole lot of regards, no, unfortunately it isn't. But this is also another thing that we'll touch on later. Now, Dogman clearly being sad about Lil Petey being missing. Sarah Hadoff, of course, hears his howls, rushes to his aid. Then they, of course, start to go on a hunt to find Lil Petey, but they are unsuccessful in that. But before that whole, thing was going on, that night before, Lil Petey actually got ADHD to scan him, tells ADHD to go find his grandpa and when you find him, bring it back here. Which would then lead, of course, to the next day. ADHD found Petey's father and brought him to the lab. He, of course, first sees little Petey, as little Petey says, "I'm your grandson," and then he shifts his focus over to Petey, and you can obviously see that Petey really putting his walls up. You also kind of see it lower a bit because of the question, is this all yours? He's like, yeah. But then, of course, it's met with, well, don't quit your day job, son. Like, what are you doing with all these inventions and stuff? God, kids these days, man. This, of course, would lead Petey into frustration and asks little Petey, why'd you even bring him here? Little Petey saying like, maybe I just thought you just want your papa back. This part really fucking threw a dagger in my heart when Petey asks him, well, that guy abandoned me. Do you even have any idea what that feels like? And little Petey responds, yes, but I forgave you. Which means it's the fact that little Petey has been through some shit right now. And this also could be another type of thing, the fact that Petey has daddy issues and abandonment issues and past traumas that he has yet to heal from, and the fact that little Petey even forgave him in the first place. Like, he doesn't feel any resentful because, again, he tries to see the good in people. One thing that's just blatantly all just true in all regards of life: we all make mistakes. We may not be fucking proud of the shit we done in the past, but does not define who we are today. Now, the workers over at the factory tossed around Flippy, which I also forgot to mention that Flippy actually got stuck in the not a smokestack pipe when little Petey and Petey were there trying to put in the smokestack pipe. They tossed Flippy around until he punctures one of the pipes that brings him to life and is set out to destroy all do-gooders. This would actually lead into a flux of buildings coming to life, of course, with one being taken down first before the others. Now, I won't mention this as I think it's kind of pointless from what the fucking video I'm trying to do here. Now, back at the lab, Petey is about to go fight Dogman, of course, once again. But before he does, his father is being a complete dickhead to him, completely taunting him, saying that, oh, what are you gonna do, cry like the old days? Oh, wow. And Petey, of course, is obviously fucking tired of this. This is where another thing also makes me get the waterworks going. Lil Petey stands up for of course, his papa, and Lil Petey states that love isn't something you just feel. Love is also something you do. And then, of course, we see, like, this is like the most vulnerable state we've seen Petey in based on his facial expression, because I can only imagine that no one's really stood up to him as all those years of really being the world's most evilest cat. I can only imagine that really no one kind of gave him the light of day because he's portrayed himself as this villain. Now, after Dogman and the TV crew came up unsuccessful trying to find little Petey, Dogman, as he looks like he's pretty much given up, Sarah Hadoff goes on the story about her pet gerbil, and I don't care for it. It's pointless. Why would you put this part in the movie? I mean, I guess the moral is like you have to keep going, like you have to move on from the past. I think it's already kind of being conveyed. I mean, that's what I've already gotten thus far. But of course, then there's a whole, of course, chaotic scene of Dogman trying to hold on for dear life as he's on top of Petey's vehicle, as they flung up to the air and land on what is to be a gyro.
Yeah, it's a cheesesteak!
Actually, correction, that's actually a cheesesteak. Dogman has successfully arrested Petey, and then little Petey arrives on the scene of saying, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing with my papa? And then this is where Dogman finally realizes that they're actually related. Flippy appears alongside the building while it was Dogman that was supposed to be captured, or rather abducted. Flippy abducts little Petey instead for being a super do-gooder, is literally on that screen. But unfortunately, now that little Petey is captured, Dogman and Petey now have to work together. And of course, while Dogman was skeptical, he then agrees to these terms. While they were trying to come up with the idea, after Dogman is pretty much barking at a mailman, that actually gives Petey the idea for a super mecha mailman for a part of the movie that I will not get into that much. And I only say that because it's pretty wild, it's pretty chaotic. I would say it is fun, but it kind of doesn't serve the purpose of what the messages are, so I can easily skip over this. I could have done without this. But of course, almost after like the fight kind of ends, little Petey is pretty much controlling ADHD as like Robocat, or that's what Flippy calls him. After little Petey kind of gets outdiffed by the building, gets slingshotted back into the building, taking it out on accident, then gets sent flying to next week. Like, Flippy at this point now is like hell-bent on taking him out. Even after little Petey said, like, you better run, Papa, it's me he wants. But Petey actually takes his place. Some actual character development. Oh my god, I love this movie. Of course, Flippy of course catches up to him, taunts him a little bit, takes him to the volcano, which is like 10,000 feet in the air above the volcano, but is then, of course, followed by Lil Petey and Dogman in Petey's tank. Then, after what is a stare down with Dogman and Flippy, Lil Petey cuts in and asks, "What you doing? Like, what you doing? What you doing with them? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to destroy him?" And then, after all these questions from Lil Petey, he gets through to Flippy. And while I think this scene is sweet and asking the question why kind of gets through to people in order to find like the root of like their problem and such, I do think it's kind of a bit rushed to do this for the sake of Lil Petey doing his thing. But of course, as Flippy starts more vulnerable, his evil powers start to fade, which causes Petey to start falling into the volcano. Now Dogman acting quick on his feet, but unfortunately he has to use the ball with his past life's name Greg on it. And this part is actually really sad because he also has to sacrifice this ball that represents of a past life. This movie, while it's fun, it's pretty damn sad. He successfully saves Petey and he rolls down the volcano, falling out of the suit and literally having a wild ass pose in the process. After all of this occurs, the chief and the TV crew are pretty much are arriving on the scene to arrest Flippy the fish and Petey the cat. But when Chief asks Dogman to arrest Petey, he's rather hesitant and does not want to, because granted they have been partners for like only a little while, but it seems like Petey has started to have a change of heart, which would lead to the mayor saying that the governor saw the whole thing and that Petey has been pardoned for being a do-gooder. Now, of course, Petey is obviously starts to come in denial about it, and I only say that because of what will come next. Afterwards, he of course says bye to Lil Petey. Dogman, of course, walks to his house all alone now. Now he's pretty much lost everything now, down to the actual ball. Fucking hell, this movie fucking really shot through me. And also, as Lil Petey and Petey walk back to the lab, they see Grandpa with the truck, and we obviously know what he did. He took all their stuff and then left, which is the exact same thing he did to Petey when he was a kid. Then after they enter the lab, Lil Petey finds his comics, saying that, oh, he got all our stuff but he didn't want my comics. But then Petey comes to the absolute conclusion saying that, you know, some people just won't change. That's just true, period. I think that's just some real life shit. And that undo button that he actually decided to order in the beginning when he got Lil Petey, because he didn't want him in the beginning, he decided not to use it because he's probably grown like so attached to him at this point. Definitely taught him some things. Then they would go start walking to Dogman's house. But after that whole thing with, of course, you know, the grandfather starts to take effects on Lil Petey, then starts saying like a lot of negative things about certain aspects of the world, like of course with the weeds, like if you're there are dying, you know, there's also always mud puddles, it's always polluted out there. But Petey is obviously kind of a little shocked by this, because he would normally expect Lil Petey to not say those things. But then he sits him down, looks up at the stars, and tells him one of the fucking best lines I have heard in a while, and a line that actually stuck with me.
This world has a lot of problems, but it can never be a horrible place, because you're in it.
Like, it can never be a horrible place because there are good people in it. But then Lil Petey replies, well, so is Dogman. They get to Dogman's house, and Lil Petey offers him to actually share custody of Lil Petey, which he obviously accepts. And I also have to say something really funny. I've been seeing this thing, or rather been hearing about Petey and Dogman them being together is canon. It might as well be, because one, they share custody with Lil Petey now, and Dave Pilkey has already stated that Dogman's sexuality is bisexual, so it's like it kind of makes sense. Granted, we don't know about Petey's sexuality, but it already kind of makes sense for them to even be together in the first place. That's another story for another day. I've been looking up this shit a lot. Petey gives Dogman a gift, a ball that has the name Dogman on it. It's very sweet. And then Petey decides to go back to the lab and start over. Now, of course, this is another part of the movie where I actually started not bawling my eyes out, but I definitely started crying a lot. It more or less has to do with the song Love is a Verb by John Mayer. And honestly, it works for the movie, and it kind of goes back to what Lil P said about love isn't something you feel, love is something you do. But it's also the fact that while Petey is going back to the lab, that river and those weeds, he picks up the weeds as if they were flowers, finds the bottle that was from the river that was so-called polluted, and then he puts them in there. It's like he's trying to take care of it now. And that's like kind of like the beauty of it. You gotta like find the beauty in like the small things, like the positive in any situation. And by this point in the movie, Petey has completely had a change of heart, and that is thanks to little Petey. Petey pretty much now breaking the cycle of his past trauma. No longer is going to translate that over into little Petey, and it's kind of heartwarming. Of course, the movie ends with all three of them howling before they find out that one more building's on the loose. But then again, it's a good ending to a great film. So Dogman has taught me a lot, that a lot of us have gone through something or is currently going through something, has at a lot of times has never dared to open up because you're so hell-bent on beating yourself up, on talking negatively about yourself, probably hurting others as well. And honestly, this movie is fun. It has a lot of gags, it has a lot of funny moments. I would say it has a lot of jokes in there too that are quite funny. This is the kind of movie that will more than likely stick with me for a while, and it's really because of those themes, everything I kind of mentioned after we were introduced to little Petey. And also like the idea of feeling lost after your past life, having daddy issues, past traumas, the unpredictability that is of fatherhood, and forgiving oneself for guilt we may have felt of our past. Now again, like I said from the beginning, that really did resonate with me. And honestly, it's a pretty great film. It does have wonderful music. And of course, we also have the rolling credits also features a song by Young Gravy, which I'm actually not that too high on, but I actually do like some of his songs he made, including this one. Super good. I think it's like surprisingly solid, but mostly due to what it's associated with. So yeah, I think this movie is clearly peak cinema, and for something that's really catered towards kids, I would say it's definitely a movie. I think it's definitely for like all ages, and for me, it's definitely something I'm gonna hold on to for a while, as specifically because of the fact that, you know, Petey is kind of like the realest character in here. Also an example that you can forgive yourself for shit that you may have done in your past. But hey, I'm kind of dragging this along, so let's get to our next movie. Now the movie itself is in Seoul, South Korea. The concept itself is already presented to us at the beginning. Our main girls involve Rumi, Zoe, and Mira, as they are like the representation of like the next generation of demon hunters. And of course, their mission is to seal the honeymoon for good. Now, their mentor of this group goes by the name of Celine, who is a former demon hunter herself, along with Rumi's mother, who had unfortunately passed away. Now, this K-pop girl group is known as Huntrix, which is they're basically the most popular girl K-pop group in South Korea. Now, as we go along with the movie at this point, we get to know a little bit more about this trio, at least the other two members. With Mira, she was the problem child that has a sense of fashion. With Zoe, she grew up in the United States and has done a lot of rap battles. Of course, we get sent to the actual stadium that the girl group is obviously going to be performing in, just for Bobby to find out, which is their manager, for him to find out they're on a flight away from their show. Of course, after they get their eating on, they later find out that the people that are transporting us are in fact demons. Now this leads to the amazing track, how it's done. Now I adore the aggressive and skeletal instrumentation of the song. Now it reminds me a lot of Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites by Skrillex.
How it's done.
Now, I do want to preface this, that the music in this movie, I have already done a whole review on it. I've given it a perfect rating, but I'm still going to mention it as I go on with the movie. Now, during the song, they of course hop out of the plane, land on the stage in the most badass way possible. And in the review, I didn't mention how stunning Rumi's vocals are, or at least the person that happens to voice act Rumi, I'll put her up on the screen right now, like hitting such a high note that is damn near close to the 6th octave. Like, it is incredible. Now, after that whole show and amazing track, we are then presented with the demon world, after the last set of demons pretty much got outdiffed by the trio. Now, this massive purple fire that watches over them is Guima. At this point, he expresses he's at the end of his rope, expressing that once the honeymoon turns golden, it's pretty much over for them. Then it actually leads to one of the demons that's actually different, looks surprisingly different from the rest, and sings a little tune. Now, this demon in question, in particular, his name is Jinu, and it seems like Guima and Jinu has a bit of history with each other, and Jinu suggests that they need a new strategy and that form a demon boy band and go after the one thing that the Huntrix values the most, their fans. Now, I would like to also bring up that what Guima, Jinu, and the Demon War represents is going to be important later. Now, as the girls are going on this vacation, Rumi decides to release the best song of the entire movie, Golden. Of course, after getting the other two a little upset about it, Bobby says, it's time for a promotion. Now, the song Golden, like I said, it makes up for the best song in the movie. It's the story about them as people, the hi-hats in the back, the beat kills, and the chorus is just infectious. However, during the bridge, Rumi reveals that she has demon markings, which are going to be important later as well. While they're practicing for the live performance that they're set to do, Rumi's vocals aren't hitting, and that's because of those markings reaching her voice. And out of sheer panic, she runs out. Afterwards, she declines going to the bathhouse. Of course, once again, apparently this is an ongoing issue, and she thinks maybe that they'll understand, but Celine states that nothing can change until those markings are gone, which won't happen until they get the golden honeymoon. Now, I gotta say, Celine is a character that I flat out hate because of everything that would transpire with Rumi. During a conversation about the incident, Mira and Zoe say something that's also important for the movie as well.
Our hunters, voice is strong. Your faults and fears must never be seen.
They try to go to the best doctor for Rumi, which turns out to be a funny scene where the doctor tries to see what's going on. With Rumi, she has a lot of walls. With Zoe, she's eager to please, and he really couldn't get rid of Mira. After that whole shenanigans, we are introduced to the Saja boys, and that they are literally ore farming to the fucking max. I mean, is it weird to say that I find Jinu kind of gorgeous? Now, the whole scene is kind of cringe as they kind of get passed by the boy band, but it makes me laugh every time. And a little bit later, they perform Soda Pop. Just like I said with my review over like a month ago, this song reminds me a lot of BTS's Dynamite.
A little soda pop. You're all I can think of. Every drop I drink. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So watch me bring down.
During the performance, the girls can see that they're actually demons, but since it's in public, they can't really make a big scene out of this. So afterwards, they actually start to become a threat to Hendrix's popularity. So the girls are now set out to kill the Saja boys. They, of course, then go to crash their Little Will show, whatever the fuck that was. But Gino was already like a few steps ahead and actually greets them on the goddamn spots. Now, after like this whole show, they chase the Saja boys into the bathtubs, bringing a lot of demons with them. Then we get this amazing fighting sequence. Now, I gotta say, the camera panning, circling around the girls, fighting off the demons, the shots, different angles, I definitely love it. It definitely reminds me of a lot of the Spider-Verse movies. After Rumi catches up with Jinu, he attacks her, revealing her markings on her arm. He's a little shocked, thinking that Demon Hunter, that's part demon, and instead of attacking her again, he actually wraps up her arm, covering her markings. And now, of course, this raises some questions, like why would he even decide to cover up her markings? Well, I guess we'll get to that question a bit later. Now, getting back to their place, they, of course, when they look out the window, they see that the honeymoon is literally tearing apart by these demons. This gives the trio the idea to write a diss track to expose the Saja boys, which we'll mention later. When Rumi remembers what Jinu said about her being part demon, a weird bird ends up on her balcony and then leads to an adorable feline, I gotta say. The feline pretty much gives her a letter that so happens to be from Jinu to, meet up and that they should talk. When she actually gets there, she beheads a mannequin she thought was Jinu. At this point, this is where we actually get to know who Jinu actually was before, I guess, turning himself into like this demon. Now, his backstory is that his family was struggling and that he was trying to use his art to really get some money, but unfortunately that didn't come into fruition. And then he starts getting this voice in his head saying that he's not good enough for his family. I can help you be good enough. And this voice is actually Guima. But then after that, his fate starts to change for the better. He actually gets invited to the palace and gets praised for his voice by the king himself. And for the first time, him and his family actually has clean clothes, they actually have food, a bed to sleep to on every night. But over time, he wouldn't realize it until he kept seeing these markings appear on himself as a way of saying he's pretty much selling his soul as part of the deal, also as a prisoner to Guima for all eternity, condemned to the demon world, and his family pretty much lost everything and is even worse without him. He still blames himself to this day after all these years later, and honestly, this really hit me hard. I mean, blaming yourself for your own past mistakes is just another way to numb yourself to the pain. His marks are a constant reminder of his shame. Jinu fails to get through Rumi saying that she's nothing like him because he's a demon and she's not. Like, he pretty much states that she's still in denial about it. Talk to me when you're ready. Now I have to say, after this point in the movie, as they keep talking to each other with Rumi, we do start to get to see some shifts in her behavior. So we'll get to that later. Later we get the song Takedown, which is the diss track against the Soulja Boys, which is another highlight of the movie. Now during the montage of them fighting demons, Rumi starts questioning if these demons are doing this outside of their will. Then after the montage, the girls hold a fan event that the Soulja Boys crash, but this literally just leads to Jinu egging Rumi on about telling her, their two girls, her secrets. Now back in Rumi's room, she is now questioning whether or not this diss track is a good idea, because it was almost a diss track to herself. Mira comes in and is now getting onto Rumi that she's probably hiding something from them. Rumi and Jinu meet up again, and Rumi comes up with the plan to set Jinu free from Guima once the honeymoon is sealed. She wants him to be free of those voices of him. He made a mistake and that he should forgive himself for those mistakes because that's no longer who he is anymore. She even admits that she was a mistake from the moment that she was born. Now that is all some deep shit. Jinu tells her that he doesn't even think that she's a mistake after they part ways. Now this is where they start to make a connection. The girls are not practicing for the Idol Worlds with the song Takedown. Rumi finally confesses that she cannot do this song, and we get another fighting sequence on the train. During the fight, Rumi is still a bit appalled by the lyrics. Afterwards, they're too late in saving the people who are riding the train, as all their souls got taken. It's by this point in the film where Rumi is sort of on thin ice with the other two members. Mira stating that the song doesn't matter now and that we need to just get through this together. Zoe also stating that it's getting hard to understand her this time and that they can't win without her voice. Gina and Rumi meet again, and Rumi expresses that ever since they've been talking, her voice has been getting better, which leads to another song called Free. Now this is a very heartwarming song about healing yourself and healing what's broken. Let the past be the past until it's weightless. After the song, Rumi feels that her voice is fully healed, and Jinu is no longer hearing those voices. Now Gino accepts Rumi's plan to force the Soulja Boys to lose at the Idol Awards, but then he is right away sent back to the demon world. Guima is stating that he can hear their conversations. He can tune up those voices or tune them down as much as he wants to. He's really deciding to tune those voices up just to remind him he left them, he betrayed his family, he did this, that, and the third. Guima is clearly the personification of your inner demons, like that negative self-talk and beating yourself up for past mistakes. Like, it's something that I feel like we've all have definitely gone through at a point in our life. Now Rumi gets back to the girls and we get a vulnerable moment between them, and with Mira admitting that she can be a difficult person, but with them she seems a bit alright, and with Zoe confessing that she used to think we're useless until she met Mira and Rumi. Now Rumi does not do this, and I feel like it's still at this point in the movie getting to her yet at how important communication is when it comes to going through some difficult shit as people. Like, we're now at the Idol Awards where the Soulja Boys don't perform meaning that Gino held his end of the bargain, or so it seems. The girls instead perform Golden. During Rumi's part, the lights cut out and starts playing Takedown, which means shit is about to hit the fan. What seems to be Zoe and Mira are actually demons, as they take off Rumi's coverings to show her marks, and after the lights pretty much burn out, Rumi runs off to backstage, is met by, of course, the real Mira and Zoe. Now they're pretty much appalled, saying that, oh my god, this is too good to be true. Were you a demon this whole time? How long have you been keeping us from this? And this is a part where in certain friendships, this is where people are going to get selective hearing. Like when she brings up Gino, I was like, you were with him the whole time. And while she's still trying to explain to them everything, she is met with their weapons being drawn. Now this leads to Rumi trying to find Gino and confronting him about the deal. Gino pretty much finally snaps, said that I left them. I'm pretty much like a horrible, horrible person. And this is basically him still going down this path of shame. Rumi still tries to get through him, saying that no, that's not true at all. There was just a mistake you made. You can move on from that, but it doesn't work. Now at this point, the honeymoon is almost completely apart, but since the public thinks that Hundrix is no more, they automatically give their awards to the Soulja Boys. Now that one of the girls being able to protect the people, Soulja Boys are luring everyone into their performance that we'll touch on later. Now Bobby, Zoe, and Mira go back in their old way of thinking by Guima stating their fears and faults. Basically are now emotionless as they follow the crowd to the stadium where the Soulja Boys are going to perform. Rumi then goes to Celine to ask her to finish what she should have done a long time ago. Take away her life. Now, I'm about to go on a rant on Celine. I know it took me a while, took me this long to get here, but here I go. Now, Celine could have easily avoided this entire thing back when Rumi was a child and when her mother passed away. Now, saying that you tried, of course, try to accept her is complete bullshit. I mean, even Rumi states that. I mean, Celine has been telling her to pretty much hide and cover herself. Celine pretty much states that this is why we can't show our fears and our faults. It's the only way to protect the honeymoon. Rumi says something in the most badass way possible. If this is the honeymoon I swore to protect, then I'm glad to see it destroyed. And pretty much vanishes. And I'm sure this pretty much shook Celine. And also, the rant's over. We're then sent to the master stage where the demons perform Your Idol, which is a banger, I would say that. Guillemot is having a straight up buffet with these souls and doing some nice ass stage effects. Now, after the song, Rumi recites the song that we've heard in the beginning of the movie. Like, she pretty much admits to everything Guillemot is stating to her, even with bringing up the honeymoon, saying that it's gone, which Rumi replies with, so that we can make a new one. Now, this leads into the final song, what it sounds like. Now, this is the most beautiful, tear-jerking, and deepest song of the entire movie. This song perfectly ties everything the movie was trying to do in that it concludes to this, saying that there's more to a person than meets the eye, letting your jagged edges meet the light, and not letting the light just stay stuck inside your head, and finding someone's harmony. Now, during the song, Guillemot fights back, and while Rumi is still struggling to keep him contained and at bay for a while, Genu jumps in and sacrifices himself, saying that you already gave me my soul back, and now I'm here to give it to you. It's such a sad part because his backstory is so tragic. Now, afterwards, this pretty much has the girls like pretty much in like invincible mode, almost like in God mode in a way. Like, it has like this aura surrounding them as they finish off the demons and Guillemot, which is a stunning scenes. And also love the fuck out of that shot they have of them in the air. And the movie ends with Rumi finally going to the bathhouse with them and meeting up with some young fans. A great ending to a amazing goddamn film. So Dogman and K-pop Demon Hunters taught me something real. They have something in common that I was able to notice while I was going through both films. You have to be willing to accept and love yourself for who you are. Forgive yourself for past mistakes and feelings, because you either made a mistake and are no longer like that anymore, or you were just a kid. Now, I was able to relate a bit more with K-pop Demon Hunters for how Rumi Genu's past mistakes as something that isn't all he is. And if you're still watching this, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Now, I recommend both movies, obviously. And this was the longest project I've ever done on the channel. And as far as like, I guess I already given my final thoughts basically. So as far as like ratings, I guess I could give them like a letter grade actually. I think I've already gave Dogman an A. I'm willing to give K-pop Demon Hunters an A+. So yeah, if y'all like this kind of content more, please like and subscribe for more content like this, as I hope this goes over well with the editing, and this video is probably going to be like almost an hour long, but hey, it's what you get for trying to actually take time to work on your craft. As always, I'm gonna see y'all in the next video.